Hi, I'm Vibe, and welcome to my YouTube channel. And this is a commentary video specifically on self-preservation. So when I was a little girl, one thing that the people who loved me and the people who I've always been around always told me is, Niemra, you cannot save the world. You cannot change the world. You yourself as a single individual cannot save the world. And I remember when people used to say that to me, I used to get so upset. Because I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what's the point? Like, da 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 da. And it's like, I feel like now I'm finally it's really settling in what people meant by that, because I've always been a very caring, empathetic person. I spent so much of my youth very sad and very depressed, in the sense that but nobody really could tell. People just thought I was annoying and loud, because I was very loud and annoying and bubbly and outgoing. But deep down inside, the only reason why I was like that is because I wanted to make people feel good. I was also kind of a people pleaser, and I just wanted to have a lot of friends, and I wanted that, even though that didn't really help me get friends. But anyway, I just grew up so sad at some points, and I just remember feeling really alone and isolated and misunderstood, from middle school into high school, and even early into college, because I felt that way, because I felt what it means to be rejected. Because of that, all those feelings, right? I wanted to make other people not feel those things. I wanted to help other people not feel those things. I'm very again, very empathetic. I really care about other people, in the sense that I don't want bad things to happen to people. The biggest challenge that I've been having, even with the pandemic and everything, is just bro, the world is falling apart, and there's literally nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I can do about it. People are suffering, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I guess I'm starting to get to the realization that a lot of the anger or frustration that I hold comes from the fact that I've always been such an empathetic and kind person. I feel I never received that same level of care, of understanding, of grace. So when I started getting into my politics, and especially developing my own radical politics, I started to gravitate towards that, because it made sense as to why things were happening, and as to why, the world is the way it is. So I really attached myself to it, to the point where I feel it was a little bit dogmatic, in the sense that I was just I'm just really submersed into it. Listen, I can literally talk to you for 300 hours about why capitalism is bad. I can connect all the dots. I can do all of that. And now I'm realizing, again, the reason why I feel so left out of things, or I feel the only one sometimes, is because a lot of people might not understand things the way I understand it, but they do know that things are not that great. The average American, or the average person in the world, knows how bad and how hard life really is. And the truth of the matter is that people have so much care and empathy for things. There's a cap, if you want to say that, that they're unable to sit there and think about all the bad things all the time, and constantly be working towards trying to change them. It's really just settling in. Most people cannot think of or fathom the things that I do, and the scale that I do it. I see things from a very, very, very big picture. It's very big picture for me, and most people are well, this is too much. This big picture is too overwhelming, and I don't have much control over that. So what I'm going to do in my lifetime is focus on what I can do, focus on, that, and everything else kind of just falls by the wayside. And I used to think that way of thinking was the reason why we never will get anywhere. I used to feel that line of thinking is the reason why things won't never change or be better for those, especially those who are marginalized. But now I'm guessing, I think I'm really understanding where that mind frame is coming from. You get what I'm saying? I really am trying to dedicate a lot of my time now to self-preservation, and allowing myself to just exist and live, and not constantly think and constantly put things together, and constantly just look at the world through the eyes of theory, because it's just really like, it's really taking a stronghold to my mental, and like it's hard for me to feel like what's the point of it all. Like I've said this before, but it's really hard for me to enjoy things. Like it's really hard for me to enjoy just like regular stuff without me having a deep dive thought about why this happened and why. It's exhausting. It's genuinely in my heart exhausting, and it's like I want to help people, but I can only help but so many people. So when I talk about self-preservation, I'm talking about the fact that I need to be very mindful about where I'm putting my energy, how I'm spreading my energy, what I'm taking in, the amount of information I'm taking in, and what kind of information I'm taking in. I just have to be just more mindful about what I'm actually consuming and what I'm actually putting out there, because I'm just realizing it's really deterring my mental health. It's not making, and it's not really helping anybody either, right? Like the people that I want to be helping, right, are not being helped by the things that I feel like I've been doing for the last couple of years. Or like I know that some people like the certain posts and stuff like that, but you know, the fact that people perceive me to be very negative and to be like a certain type of way is just very exhausting. Like, because all I've ever wanted to do is just make the world a better place. But now I'm realizing that maybe I don't need to get every single person on my side, or I need to get every single person to understand the things that I've gone through or the experiences that I've had as a marginalized person, because a lot of people just truly in their hearts and hearts don't have the mental capacity for that. Like I think about like white people in this sense, because like they low-key do have the privilege, if they want to never have to think about race, right? They never have to like really sit there and recognize the ways in which like they are being negatively impacted because of the color of their skin. And I guess a lot of me feels like enviness towards that. Like I think about the fact that like I would love to be able to exist in this world and only focus on my family and only focus on like getting to where I want to be in life and only focusing on that. Like it's very hard for me to do that because other things like racism literally impacts my everyday life. Like regardless if I'm subconsciously understanding it or not, like I can look back on so many things and so many instances, especially in my childhood, that were direct causes of racism and systematic racism. So it's like, I guess I've a lot of the anger and built up frustration that I have is because like people who are not affected by these things don't have to ever think about it, and you know, will interact with me as if we don't live in a world where I am negatively being impacted by that. But now I'm realizing that I really need to just kind of like scale back and understanding that like at the end of the day, people are really people, and people are just going through their own things and have their own lives and stuff like that. But I'm also don't have to care about what they're going through as well. Like I can really sit here and just find ways to preserve myself and my energy, meaning that I don't have to necessarily care about how white people feel or what's going on in their world or the struggles that they might go through. Like I don't have to really be considerate of all those things, because at the end of the day, I have my own life to live. Like, you know, like I can try really hard never to be disrespectful or rude, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I'm not concerned about like white people and how they feel about the certain things that I say, or like even when I think about like gender wars and stuff like that, like of course I'm a black woman. I would love to be with a black man and have a black family, all that stuff. But I also understand that I cannot take risk when it comes to men. I have to be very careful. I have to be very vigilant, and I have to just be mindful about who I'm interacting with and the possible harm that they can bring to me. So like the one thing I do have control over, right, is showing love, empathy, and care to people who I actually know, like people who I can tangibly call up, people who are in my community, in my circle. Like, you know, I think what I'm trying to get at is that it's really important for me, or I'm trying to make it really important for me to kind of live out certain things, and like hopefully people be inspired by the fact that I'm just existing in the best way I can under these circumstances. I think it's really just important for me to just think about myself at this point and think about the things that I need to do, think about the life that I want to create for myself, because regardless, I'm 25 right now, another 25 years, things will still be chaotic and everything will still be all over the place, and racism 9 times out of 10 will still be here, and, you know, climate change, all these things. So it's just like, if I understand that, and I understand that, like, you know, I'm not going to stop, you know, necessarily talking about certain things that I care about, but I really need to find a balance. And I really need to find a balance where I'm not overdoing it at the expense of my own mental well-being. Because at the end of the day, everybody else is not going to be making sure that I'm okay. Everybody else is not going to be considerate of the fact that I'm a black woman and I go through things because of racism. Like, the average white person is not going to care about that. It's just like, I'm not saying that there's not people, black men or white people who wouldn't care, but it's just like, I know for a fact that everybody has their own life to worry about. Everybody has their own thing to worry about. And like, maybe the best thing that for me to do is to just scale it back and realize, like, these people online and just even random people that I just see outside, I don't have any attachments to them. So my words and stuff might not hit for them, you know what I mean? But then I ask myself my intentions behind any of the content they create or any of the things I say online, and I realize it's not made for people who don't agree with me. You get what I'm saying? Like, anything I say or anything I put out there is not necessarily made for people who don't agree with me, or nor is it made for people who don't want to get on my side. Like, I feel like everything that I want to be saying, or like I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, everything that I say, everything that I create, everything that I do is for people like me and people who genuinely want to learn something from a different perspective. That's what my stuff is for. I'm not here to convince anybody. I'm not here to get anybody on my side. I'm here to continue to unlearn some of the harmful ways that I've been taught to think and perceive other people. And I'm dedicated to, you know, just creating a space or creating spaces for people, especially marginalized people, to not feel so alone, to not feel so isolated. Because at the end of the day, all the people in power are still in power, and they're still going to isolate me and exclude me. So I think it's just really important for me to just be around people and cultivate content for people like me, or people who want to see and understand things from a different perspective and come with, you know, good faith. So with those two things in mind, I just realized, like, you know, I don't really have to explain myself to certain people. I don't really have to pay too much attention about how I am really being perceived, because if I'm moving with the intention that the things that I'm doing is really coming out of love, and it's coming out of me trying to build a community for myself of people who are like me. A lot of people have an empathy cap, and a lot of people don't have a lot of empathy for black women. It just won't be the case, you know what I mean? There's going to be, like, I don't mean to generalize, because of course there's exceptions to the rule, and not all people are a certain way, and I get that. Right? But at the end of the day, I understand oppression, and I understand how oppression works, and the most important thing that I need to be doing is protecting myself, making sure that I'm okay, making sure the things that I need are taken care of, making sure I'm taking care of my family, making sure I'm taking care of my, you know, friends, making sure I'm taking care of people just in my overall network / community. Like, those are the people that I can really be making impactful changes to. And I can't make those changes if I'm overexerting myself for people who don't care about me, or people who don't know me, quite frankly. Like, you know, it's better for me to preserve my empathy, my love, and my care for those who I have access to, and I don't have access to everybody else. So with that being said, I just think it's really important for black women to really start investing time and energy in self-preservation, and really adopting that, because that's the only way that we're going to continue to be as resilient and continue on. Like, when it comes to me, I'm not going to be too overly concerned about how I'm coming off to other people, because at the end of the day, I'm just one individual. You don't have to listen to me. You do not have to care about me. You could literally block me. You can, whatever. You don't have to pay attention to anything that I say. But, you know, just knowing that at the end of the day, I'm taking care of myself. I'm preserving myself. I'm preserving my energy, picking and choosing what I'm going to engage with and what I'm not going to engage with. Those are the things that matter. And especially for black women, I think we're not really taught to be self-preserving, you know what I mean, and compared to other people are. But I need to definitely be like that. And I mean, also because again, I've always been a very empathetic person. So growing up, me being as nice and as caring to people was not the wave. It's so funny that people are talking about kindness and compassion now, because I grew up as the only person who really genuinely gave up that level of kindness and empathy and, you know, bit of grace to every single person, and it never worked out for me. Like, literally, like, especially in high school, but you could say, but like, even as a young adult, like, me being kind and me being empathetic and understanding to other people has done nothing but low-key made me a target. So with that being said, I can't overextend myself, and I need to self-preserve myself. I need to be there for myself, because nobody else is really going to be there for me. Just like nobody else is going to be there for the same people who I look at as like quote unquote oppressors. Nobody's going to necessarily be there for them. So I understand. Like, it's now I'm getting to the point. It's like, I can't take it personally that people don't care about what happens to my life. I think that's what it is. I cannot take it personally, because I can't think about every single person who is struggling with every single injustice and problem in the world. I don't have the mental capacity for that. So I cannot expect the average everyday person to have the mental capacity to think of me, be considerate of me. You know what I mean? It's just not feasible. It's not the reality. I would love to live in that type of world, but we don't. And I think the reason why I get so frustrated or I get so mad is because I feel like, why am I doing it then? And it's like, yeah, Yammer, why are you doing it? Like, no one's asking you to put that much energy. No one's asking you to wake up every day thinking about these things and overanalyzing these things and like constantly breaking down and constantly having these conversations. Like, no one's telling you to do any of these things. Like, you can work in balance. Like, you can think about and focus on other things outside of the things that are like that, because that's still going to be there. And like, I'm not saying that I don't want to continue to work towards, like, you know, making things better for other people, but like, I really need to preserve myself, because this life is fleeting. Like, everybody else is going to be continuously living my life while I'm sitting here crying and being sad about theory. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not going to work. And then I think there is a bit of jealousy in there too, because it feels like everybody else is just living their lives while I'm sitting here thinking and caring so much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, no one's asking me to do this. No one's asking me to care and think this much. Like, why do I feel so obligated? Why do I feel like it's my responsibility? Like, it's really not. It's really actually not. And the only thing I'm responsible to is myself. And that's just what it is. And I think it's like really hard. It's like a really hard pill for me to swallow. But that's really the truth. I'm only responsible for myself and my own actions and my own behavior. So yeah, I just really want to learn how to not take things so personally and really understand that, like, people really are just going through their own lives. Like, you know, just because they don't think whatever I think is important doesn't mean that they're bad people or they don't care about other people. They just have their own personal things going on in their life. You know what I mean? They have their own personal ideas and goals and perspectives on how life should be. And like, I can't do anything to dictate that, because at the end of the day, I'm not living their life. I'm not paying their bills. You know, I'm not doing any of those things. So it's just like, I'm starting to realize and understand the importance of self-preservation, because I'm 25 and I feel like I'm spiraling. And I think a big number has to do with the fact that I really want to like help people, but I can't help anybody if I'm not well, and I can't help anybody if I'm struggling to pay my bills. I can't help anybody if I'm constantly battling with my own mind. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, yeah, those are things. I just really think it's really important for us as Black women to practice self-preservation, and I'm really gonna make an active effort to really think about things and move in that way. So yeah, well, I hope you liked this video. Tell me your thoughts and ideas on self-preservation, especially when it comes to Black women, and I'm gonna talk to you next time. Okay, bye.